Punishment. Hey, when does the law become too harsh? Does it ever become too harsh? Well, it takes us to this week's case. Involves a real man, young man, age 15, lived in Spartanburg County, South Carolina. And this man was convicted of sexually assaulting a 5-year-old boy. As a result of this conviction, this 15-year-old, as part of his sentence under South Carolina law, was sentenced to be registered as a sex offender. And being registered as a sex offender meant that his name was going to be published to the list of sex offenders in South Carolina that is also available on the web. Therefore, the whole world will be able to look at this list of sex offenders and they can find his name on it. Well, his attorney said, hang on a second, he's only a 15-year-old boy. You know, when we grow up, we all make mistakes. That's how we learn. That's what gives us experience, and that allows us to mature into, hopefully, responsible adults. He made a mistake, but he was only 15, and registering him as a sex offender for the rest of his life is just far too harsh. His attorneys look to the fact that the U.S. Supreme Court does not allow a death penalty to be imposed on anybody under 18 years of age. And therefore, they argued, when we're dealing with people who are maturing, people who are young people, we need to give them a little bit of slack. Well, interestingly enough, this case went all the way up to the South Carolina Supreme Court. And there the Supreme Court looked at the law and it considered the arguments that were made in the legislature, and the Supreme Court came away saying, you know, the legislature here in South Carolina can determine what punishment there will be. And yes, the legislature can differentiate between adults and between people under 18 years of age. But the legislature, in its wisdom, in this instance, decided to enforce a law, or decided to pass a law, that would have anybody, irrespective as to whether they were adults or whether they were under 18 years of age, registered for the rest of their life as a sex offender if they committed a sexual crime that resulted in conviction. And they said, while the legislature can certainly rewrite this law, the law as it's written right now does require that this young man, age 15, be registered as a sex offender the rest of his life. If you want it changed, good and gentle people, if you find it too harsh, you need to petition the legislature. Okay, and that was the decision. The decision gives us some insight again as to the relationship between laws that are passed and the enforcement of those laws. It indicates that when a law is passed, the courts follow it, and if people aren't pleased with it, the redress is just to go to the legislature. Hey, we bring you this case, we bring cases every week so you understand how the law works. I'm David Allen.